Hey folks, I have no idea why, my brain just feels like it's full of cotton wool right now. It just feels randomly just brain dead. It's rather annoying, rather distressing in all honesty. It makes it kind of hard to commentate and just think generally. Serious stuff. Walking One will stop scary ones from working scary magics, yes? Walking One must steal Touch One's scent powders and sparkle beads. This one will make Walking One see-through, keep Walking One safe. Transparency. Through sylphic magics, you can become transparent and infiltrate enemy territory undetected. Well, in this transparent state, in the state, a transparent icon will appear in status bar. Timer indicates the amount of time you've left before it wears off. Certain points on your route extend your duration. Use them wisely while avoiding detection. Be warned that you can't perform any actions while transparent. A sylph incantation is about to render you transparent. Hurry and steal the touched sylph's hex baubles before the magic is lifted. The incantation will expire in 35 seconds. Become invisible, you'll be unable to complete your task. Return to the sylph and have the spell cast anew. The fragrant blooms you encounter on the way will extend your duration of the incantation. Seek them out if the spell's power begins to wane. Scent powders and sparkle beads are gone. Oh no, this one's in trouble. I'm gonna cut it close, but I'll get it done. There we go. Damn it, it's over this way. There's so many different marks on the map. Oh, I never did find the other beasts I needed by the statue, did I? Well, by the climbing tower. I've seen some disturbing fanfic about those. Ugh. I've seen some shit, man. Scent powders, same as before. Second verse, same as the first. Now put me on a plane so I can put them in a. Now put me on a plane so I can put them in a hearse. Marble Bile Bomb. A projectile weapon fashioned by the sylphs from marble bile, mystically molded into a cylindrical shape. Seven hells! What is this stench? They're just standing there. They're not really invading more than they got, tourists. Like, you're really just standing with your back to some marbles? Like... I can't look at those things the same way anymore, man. Did a marble just empty its innards? I feel ill. Run! Run, 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 run. Weird. It wasn't allowing me to do it there. 7 hells. What is this stench? Rhino and Chocobo really does help. End up avoiding fight despite like running right through a person. Ha! I drank swill worse than this last night. I'm not skip alive. Just remind me that one like Flash game I played as a kid, where it was like a piss take of like Final Fantasies and whatnot. Ha! I'm actually 7, man. In actuality, this guy was some freaky mech. I know he summoned it as reinforcement, but still, it's just like... It looked less as a reinforcement, more that he just fucking transformed into it. Oh, so I question his diet if he drank swill worse than marble bile. Ugh. Those things are creepy. The Gurleen's been putting on a new improved suit of armor through its paces in the heart of Twelveswood. Reduce this marvel of technology to a smoking wreck. I wonder how ours is. I figure we'll probably rescue it after we take out the other guys. Really after taking heavy damage. Oh, you come off cooldown a lot sooner than I thought. An identification key for a prototype suit of magic armor. Damage beyond use. Alright. Go and turn these in. Then what's next? The kobolds. Alright. I can do that. The XIV are also there. This one here is no more crashing and bashing. Does this one dare to dream? What's this? Friendly one smashed spiky one to bits and pieces? This one is in awe of friendly one's strength. This one must show this to all these ones. Let all know that friendly one is hero to these ones. Walking one returns. Did walking one steal scent powders and sparkle beads from touched ones? Sort of beads, blossom powders employed by touched sylphs in performing all manner of mischievous magics. No more magic for touched ones, teehee. This one wishes one could see the look onto the touched ones' faces. Walking one is friend to these ones once more. Steel ones are gone from forest. This one is beside oneself in gratitude. Steel one brought a giant spiky one. This one has lost many friends to those ones. This one is frightened. This one is fortunate to have strong friend like walking one. Promise this one that strong one will stay and keep these ones safe. I'll be back once in a blue moon. So I could either head to the other shroud to do the XIV, or I could head to the kobolds. Let's go say hi to the kobolds. Ah, I'm on a tune. I never grabbed it. Meme rune? Let's see what your quest is. Is the letter burning a hole on his bedside table? When swallowed does not a victory make. Oh my. Well met, adventurer. I served with the Maelstrom Black Sails, or I did until grievous wounds in a battle. Until I suffered grievous wounds in a battle with the kobolds. I was invalidated and sent here. Invalidated? No, invalided? I'm not. I read that word too quickly. We take this to my commanding officer in Camp Overlook. It's a request for reinstatement. It suits my nature to lie abed. So my duty was to recover, and I have been dutiful. But surely they do not mean for me to wait until every last bit of flesh is knitted together. Get hold of an axe. That should be enough. Between here and Camp Overlook is kobold territory, as the crow flies. I suggest you be smart about it. Go to Ilrune's trading post and take a boat across the lake. From there, I just gotta. Remember, I was saying I was trying to make a joke. I made a comment and it fell flat, and I was panicking about it. Yeah, a person just responded here, and it's just like. Or maybe this is the comment from earlier. My phone's just slow in notifying me. That's perfectly possible too. Okay, they've... Okay. Things went fine there, all was good. I'm terrible with actually... Despite, you know, how, basically social kind of thing this is, I'm actually terrible with interacting with people. My default response is, a person, run. So, I have to suppress my my instincts so much, it's quite frustrating. But it's quite difficult. And take a boat across the lake. From there, head north to Outer Alaska. Yeah, screw that. Gonna ride right through these kobolds. Gonna show 'em who's boss. Hello, cat girl. The healer Arhun Elka greets you with a smile and a chore, as she was wont to do. Who could mind when the cause is good and the smile so fair? We use mulled wine from Wineport to treat the war wounded, restores the bodily humours, and gives vigour to hearts made weary by fever. Why don't you put yourself to some good use, adventurer? Prepared some mulled wine earlier and need it heated to make warm wine. Will you submerge these bottles in the hot spring over yonder and serve them to those that need it sorely? Ruska Faruska is a man much tried. As you know from your prior visits, we treat the wounded from the front with all our arts, and with the healing waters of the hot springs. We serve soldiers, but for some unaccountable reason, we have a goldsmith here at present. He simply showed up and we could hardly turn him away. Now he's asking for salamander oil, but we cannot spare any. I find the whole situation, the entire situation, awkward in the extreme. Will you extract 4 vials worth of oil from the salamanders roaming nearby and give them to the goldsmith? Water any deeper, I'll drown. Sour red cooked with very sorry, my mind drifted back to the other thing. It's just like, I might leave it up to them to think of what to make it stand for, because honestly, I can't think of anything. I can't remember if I fully said it. Basically, actually, no, I did. You know, the Palanai, obviously the AI at the end is artificial intelligence. What should the rest stand for? I couldn't think of any. I can't think of any that fits. They give a general description of it, and yeah, I can't think of anything that would fit. Yeah, I would say yeah, I haven't a clue. You know, I'll just, you know, leave it up to them because it's just like, these share the same same model, so I was thinking this is part of the same quest, but no. Former request by one Godbert to be reinstated into his former Maelstrom unit. But anyway, sour red cooked with various spices and citrus rinds over a low flame as to preserve the alcoholic content. Humors were a thing people used to believe in previously. That like there's different humors to the body. I know there's choleric and melancholic. Well, actually, maybe that was people's temperament. According to the National Library of Medicine, apparently this is actually back to Hippocrates. Blood, yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm. But that ties in with, okay, this is refusing to load. No, there we go. That ties in with melancholic, phlegmic, choleric, and sanguine. Melancholic to black bile. Phlegmic to phlegm, Coric to yellow bile, and sanguine to blood. Kind of given. Apparently they're also tied with different ages. Seasons too. Also organs and planets. Though they considered the moon a planet. Actually, why is the Shakespeare's humours on fucking medical side? They say he got it from the Greek philosophers, but it's still, I'm sure he did his own twang to it. I know he was inaccurate in his retelling of Macbeth, apparently. I remember a reviewer, SF Debris, claiming that the rendition of Macbeth in Gargoyles was actually more true to the historical Macbeth than Shakespeare's play. The reasoning being is that in Shakespeare's play, Macbeth earned his kingship by deceit, just, outright killing the king in his sleep, while the actual Macbeth earned it on the battlefield. Came at the guy straight, he won it straight. And this Macbeth is honourable. While he could easily kill the gargoyles at any stage when they're sleeping and he's just chilling, he waits till they wake up. Then he'll seize every advantage possible. But he won't, exploit them being incapacitated by being fucking stone. So, yeah. But yeah, there's 4 different temperaments, and you have to eat special diets attuned to which one you were, and engage maybe in very particular activities based on that. Heya Bowaka. My wounds heal for sure and certain, not so stiff and sore no more neither. Get crunk. Heated in the warm springs of O'Gurmra. This mulled wine is said to cure ailments, and to those ailments it cannot cure, will help one forget. Oblige, adventurer. That's a mug full of good medicine there. Wouldn't mind taking some of that back to the front. That boom of the Magitech armor. I can't stop hearing it. See how my hands shake so? Used to be that I'd pinch myself on the face for sure and certain. At least I'm clear of that. Can relate, I just saw a guy transform into a suit of Magitech armor. Ow, that smarts. I know, I'm counting my blessings. Don't you make those eyes at me. I'm just saying it smarts. That hits the spot. Don't mind that kind of burn. It's a fine thing, being alive. Don't mind me none. And don't mind me none. I like you all. Just like my own Levy Moore. Been through a lot together. That smarts. There's 12 spit in my eye if I lie. That smarts like Ifrit himself skewered me with his stick of how do you do. I'd like to get my hands on that Garlean what mistook me for his pincushion. Well, this is actually pretty nice. They send injured soldiers here to this hot springs to rest up. Anyone? No. Do like how she actually does acknowledge her presence with the head turning. Like this honestly, this game looks beautiful. Forget it's an MMO. To a degree, anyway. But, yeah. It actually really just makes me think of that Final Fantasy with Vaughn. The one that Toad Biscuit described as... Oh, that's disturbing. Well, he referred to it as the Star Wars Final Fantasy, or to some phrasing of it. Because I can't remember his reasoning. Let me think. It's just, I feel awkward in case like he was wrong, you know, like wrong to try and equate it like this, because I'm the one saying it now. But I guess it was because of how Van was, then the princess, then the sky pirate with his non-human companion. They, you know, slot into various archetypes and spots, I guess, that are similar enough to the Star Wars one. Well, true enough, they're different. They're close enough for a, you know, a tongue-in-cheek kind of reference. The tongue-in-cheek kind of equation. Look at that. I do believe I can move that foot a little more. Sure helps with the hurt, though. Thank you, Venture. You'll see. We'll be on our feet and halfway to being the Warriors of Light before you're done warming another bottle. halfway to being another me. Or halfway to being me, huh? The protagonist. Okay, he looks better there. From a distance, his face looks really squished. Damn, I barely remember a time when everything didn't hurt. I feel like I've always been here. Thank you and cheers. Ooh, hot and spicy. Just like the horn we raised when the sergeant was Just like the horn we raised when the sergeant was wedded. When the little red-head private fell. Oh, my friends, I'll be back. You still chewing roughnecks. Remember Cartnew, I say? I was there under the Maelstrom standard, and for every drop of my blood, the Garleans paid double. The 12's willing, I'll fight again, and if I fall, I'll see my comrades from the flats again. Never did get to talk to the one over here. Just see their other lines. Tra-la-la. I do believe this is just right. Not too hot, not too cold. Place does look beautiful. It's also pretty nice, really. Like, they get sent to this, like, luxury hot springs to heal up. Thank you for the kindness, adventurer. Those soldiers you met, they may be champions for our way of life, but here, they're brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. They're so young, most of them, and so hurt in spirit and body. Most will return to the front, and some will not even survive to come under my care again. It's what they want and what we need of them, I know. But I tell myself that I heal them so they become farmers and smiths, alchemists and rangers, mothers and fathers. For a few, that will be true, and there'll have to be enough. Rather touching for a little side quest. Welcome to the Warm Wine Sanatorium. Well, that's not really comforting a name. Well, I suppose what I'm thinking of is sanitariums, but close enough. The general consensus of general vibe of Gotten on sanitariums has been nothing nice. Just actually, I remember reading about one. It actually was an asylum, never mind. It was an asylum, not a sanatorium. It was called Forest Haven. Hey folks, I kind of fudged my wording there, so I'm just going to restart it. Basically, I was talking about Forest Haven. It was an asylum, and not a sanatorium like I initially thought. The place was a travesty. It started off fine, but it descended into hell. Like, the place... Like... You know, you always see like horror movies or games like set in asylums and hospitals. Forced Haven is a real life iteration of them. Um, like it started in 1925 and was finally closed in 1991 for since its decline started in the 60s, and it took another 30-ish years for it to close. And we're from 31 to a bit less. One of the issues with it was that it had a doctor working there that didn't actually have a license. They had one once, but they were suspended. They lost their license, and they were still practicing there. They it started off just for people with intellectual disabilities, but eventually, when their funding was cut, they also had a ton of extra people shoved in, people who didn't belong there. Sorry, I'm just like, should I even be go on? I'll keep this brief. I'll keep this brief. Just this is, like I said, this is a real life, like I said, you always see them like look at the Outlast game that I've covered on my channel before. Planning on doing that again. Gonna hopefully release it in October 2019. So by the time this comes out, it might already be out. This time I have a computer that can actually run it without chugging. But like look at the Mount Massive Asylum. Look at like different horror asylums or hospitals. Forest Haven is basically a real life iteration of them. So anyway, their funding was cut, and a ton of people without intellectual disabilities, which is what the asylum was for, were shoved in there. I heard one site claim that they even shoved an orphanage in there on top of this. So they end up having like sorry. They end up apparently having like over 1,000 people in there. I saw one site claim. And the doctors ended up taking their frustrations out on the patients. In forms of mental, physical, and even sexual abuse. There were even claims of patients choking on their food, as in the doctors had them tied down and they were lying on their bed being fed. Patients would choke on it. And, you know, killing your patients by force feeding them is probably one of the basic things that you learn not to do. So it's, again, it goes to show how shit the place was. They even had a fucking mass grave site. It was unmarked. It's the patient's family. Some of the patient's families put up a headstone. Part of the reason why I re-recorded this, I vaguely remember. I want to say I remember seeing a claim that there was vagueness about who was actually buried in the mass grave, but I think that's just a mismemory of what I read. I read this like a couple weeks back. So that's probably just a mismemory. But it's long since shut down, like I said. It's since 91. It's been shut down since before I was even born. Thankfully. But it was active for way too long. I think there's meant to be a documentary on it. There is a few articles about it. Yeah, there seems to be a documentary on it. Or at least plenty of articles about it, if you're interested. But yeah. Long story short, anyway, it's just Forest Haven. It's basically like a real life horror asylum or hospital. Apparently, most of the stuff, like medical reports and toys, beds, are still there. The asbestos has been removed, but apparently everything else is still there, which again makes it fitting for a horror set, you know? Like, it's And you don't even need to exaggerate the stuff there from the sounds of it. You know? It's like the place is, you know, for those poor people that were stuck there, was hell on earth. You know? You don't need to Hollywood up that. But anyway, depression aside. But yeah, basically, from what I've seen sanatoriums and stuff, it never really carries a good name. Never carries a good name. Remember, I was watching a Call of Cthulhu play by Kokoskia. One of the guys in it, I'm not sure if any of the facts he spoke were true, but he spoke them with such confidence. You know, once I actually fooled myself with that. I was telling a friend something, and I spoke with such confidence. Only later I realized, you know, I was full of shit there. I just utterly played myself. Basically, yeah, they were describing some like sanatorium, and there's some comment about like there isn't blood on the walls. This must be one of the good ones. And again, it was a fucking Call of Cthulhu thing. It's not exactly a historical document, but that's the only thing I can think of in my, you know, like mental catalog of, you know, why sanatoriums have a bad name to me. You know, that's like all I can think of. So yeah, I feel kind of silly, but like, that's all I can think of. So, plus to be fair, I'm sure they got up to plenty of shit. Sanatoriums were an old thing, you know, around when that field of the medical profession was probably pretty new, and they weren't really sure what the fuck they were doing. They were just doing really brute force, brutal things, thinking maybe this will work. So it wouldn't be surprising if, you know, half the horror stories about them are true, kind of thing, you know. But that's more jaded cynicism than actual backed up statement. But certainly this one doesn't seem to live up to that. Hell, I wouldn't mind going to it. I'm sure I could do with some, you know, heated wine and a hot spring. With the aches in my legs right now, yes. Here we treat the wounded from the front with healing waters from the very womb of the earth, and heated wine redolent with spices. Hello and welcome to Bronze Lake. May I be of assistance? What do you do here? I'm tasked with caring for the sick and wounded soldiers who visit our hot springs. We must keep a close eye on those suffering from injuries, as they tend to linger in the waters overlong. Though the springs are famous for their healing qualities, sitting about batting can end up doing more harm than good. Aside from the convalescing troops, we also have the occasional visit from somewhat more eccentric patients. The hot springs of Bronze Lake were built in the ruins of the civilization of Nim. This building itself was called the Warm Wine Sanatorium. The name comes from the practice of heating bottles of spiced wine in the waters, which imbues the liquor with potent curative properties. We've treated soldiers here since the Battle of Cartanau, and considering that skirmishes with Imperial and Beastmen forces continue unabated, I expect the springs will remain busy for the foreseeable future. But yeah, sanatoriums. But yeah, sorry for that little tangent, but I honestly swore the other thing was Scarface Bugalja. I pay my coin, I dance my dance. What is this fuss, you ask? Why, it is this thing. That is what. Though forbidden entry to the springs, you insist on returning each and every day to disturb our other customers. Oh, but it's not what you think. We haven't banned him for what he is, but what he's done, namely exposing himself to several of the other batters. My duty to escort him off the provinces, but just look at the size of him. Without several extra helping hands, for this will not end well for me or the Springs. Might you lend me your blade? I hate the phasing. After harassing a party of Miqo'te baiters, a Mamuja mercenary who goes by the name of Scarface Bukuja was banned for life from the hot springs at the Camp Bronze Lake. The degenerate, however, is back once again and must be dealt with. I'll need the hot springs after I'm done with him. Kinda wish you just leave me, you know, beat him up as the level whatever I am. Why? Why no springs? Finally, I will do as man, like all men. No, some men can at least speak proper English. Now back to seeing that these women are safe. Yes. Do I need to kick you out too? No, can't talk to him. Looks like you can. More Mamuja here than I realized. Oh yes, other guys. Mamuja Breeder. Oh, that's a comforting name. There's a dungeon over here. Wanderer's Palace. So anyway, yeah, I just feel kind of awkward on that tangent about sanatoriums, but it was just a case of I know that it came up there, and that's all I could think of. Well, not all I think of. It's just. Okay. Ah, you. Right. I just swear I've seen people posting pictures of a similar-looking guy on Twitter recently. Probably no connection. But, I know they brought it up, and it was just like, oh yeah, I could talk about this. I just worry I went on about it too long. I did go on bigger tangents before in videos. It's something I've been angry at myself for doing, and been trying to stop. Like I said, I'm thinking, at least in some cases, of going back and editing it out. Um, but I don't think this was quite as bad as that. But yeah, I rarely appreciate just how lovely this game does look. It really does. But yeah, basically it was just sanatoriums of a general poor thing, and that's literally the only example I could think of there. Which isn't a great example, it's just literally all my mind will draw up. I think I've seen other things, maybe even actual historical things, but I can't think of anything. But again, it won't be surprising if, they did actually have a generally bad name, because, it was when the profession was young, and they were figuring things out. Wouldn't be, wouldn't be surprised if they were making some rather grievous mistakes that they only realized later on. Um, well, then the Forest Haven thing was just, I thought that was an example of a bad sanatorium, but it was actually just an example of a horrific asylum. So, still. Godbert. Most kind, you are most kind to bring me the oil of salamander. A thick, sticky oil collected from the underbelly of a river-dwelling salamander. I had a need of a large horn. I had a need of a large horn, and made the grievous error of visiting a great buffalo with a handsaw. He liked it not, and it sustained a most horrific scratch. It smarted so, and it smarts so, and the ache. Oh no, I was not drone. I'm not so green as that. No, when the beast shook its head, I stepped backwards, slipped, and fell. Then I fell again later, strung back to the dog cart. No need be shy, you are an adventurer and I am a goldsmith. The body is simply an instrument, in the occasional need of oiling. Oil, sir, I say. Oil, sir, oil, I say. The relief, again, I say. Come, my body awaits your ministrations. I can feel this. I can feel soothing fingers working into every knot. That is your cue, sir. Soothing fingers now, please. But at 12, that feels good. Now, quick with the rubbing. The healing tingle. This is. Pardon me. Your skill was so great that I was quite transported. Truly, no Ul'dah attendant could have done better. Sublime. I shall now have a brief drowse, then soak in the springs until sundown. After that, a humble meal with white wine from my own stock, and perhaps peaches. Eccentric as all hell. Thank you for your service, adventurer. It seems he believes Bronze Lake to be some sort of retreat, retreat for the rich. He paid a very handsome fee for his stay thus far, and profusely complimented us on our aestheticism. Ruska for Venture the Fainting Goldsmith. Meteor Survivor Ring. Ruska Faruska seems to be near the end of his tethers. First one thing, then another. The goldsmith passed out from too much heat. We warned him time and again, and this past week, not to stay in so long. Honestly, I do not trust myself to tend this fool, but have a mind to strangle him. If a poke revives him not, throw a bucket of lake water on him. There was ice on it this morning. I think he's just dead. 1 second.